You've felt this, haven't you? The sensation of being invisible. You're in a room, maybe a work meeting or a social gathering. You prepare, you have a brilliant idea, you open your mouth to speak, and your voice dies in the air. People nod politely, but their eyes have already moved on to the next person. It's like you're transparent. You try to assert yourself, speak a little louder, gesture, but the more you try, the more you feel like you're forcing it. And your energy, already low, dissipates like smoke. You walk down the street, and you're just another face in the crowd, a ghost. You walk into a coffee shop and the barista serves you while looking over your shoulder. You grind at the gym, you post on social media, you try to be interesting, funny, smart. You are constantly doing, posting, trying. You are screaming at the world, "Hey, I'm here. Notice me, validate me." And the world, in response, ignores you. And then, the other guy walks in. He doesn't say a word. He isn't trying to impress anyone. He isn't even looking at anyone. He simply enters, orders his coffee, and the environment shifts. The silence that follows isn't awkward, it's attentive. The glances that used to pass right through you are now pulled to him, as if he's a center of gravity. The barista, who barely looked at you, smiles at him. The man beside you, who cut you off mid-sentence, now lowers his voice. This man didn't ask for attention, he commanded it. And he did it in silence. What is the brutal difference between you and him? The truth is uncomfortable, and the modern world is designed so you never discover it. The difference isn't the clothes he wears, the car he drives, or the lines he uses. The difference is that he is full, and you are empty. You have been trained, since puberty, to empty yourself, to believe that your most potent energy, your life force, your spiritual signature, your semen is a disposable waste product, an inconvenience that needs to be released to relieve stress. They gave you unlimited access to screens and pixels that taught you to spill this precious energy, your biological inheritance, in exchange for a 10-second dopamine hit that leaves you drained, apathetic, and with brain fog. You are living with a chronic leak, and you wonder why your presence is weak. You wonder why your voice has no weight. You wonder why opportunities, interesting people, and success seem to flow to everyone but you. It's because you are giving your power away for free. You're in a rat race, begging for external validation, while your magnetic self is being aborted in empty, solitary orgasms. The man who commands effortless attention has understood, consciously or unconsciously, the oldest and most dangerous secret of all. True power doesn't come from what you seek out there. It is cultivated in here. He stopped the leak. He chose the path of semen retention. I know what you're thinking. That's mysticism. That's pseudoscience. That's repression. Fine, think that. Stay on the comfortable path. Keep emptying yourself and wondering why your life is lukewarm, why you feel like a side character in your own story. Keep believing the lie that immediate pleasure is freedom. But for those who are tired of being invisible, for those who feel there is a dormant power inside them, this message is your key. When you stop wasting your vital energy, something happens. It's not immediate. It's a silent alchemy. Your body, which used to scramble to replace what you lost, now has a surplus, and it begins to use that surplus to rebuild you. Your voice changes. It gains a resonance, a depth that comes from your core. Your eyes change. The dull glaze of exhaustion is replaced by a focused fire. People will find it hard to hold your gaze. Your mind changes. The brain fog dissipates. Anxiety diminishes. In its place, a sharp clarity, an unshakable focus, and a discipline that doesn't need motivation emerge. Your presence changes. The energy field around you, once weak and porous, becomes dense, strong, magnetic. And that is when the magic happens. You stop chasing, and the world starts to chase you. Opportunities that were once closed doors now appear right in front of you. People who never noticed you now seek your opinion, your advice, your company. Women are no longer attracted to what you say, but to who you are. They feel your energy, your fullness, your self-sufficiency. They sense that you don't need them, and that is the most attractive thing in the universe. In this video, we are going to tear the veil. We will show you why the world wants you weak and depleted. We will teach you not just how to stop wasting your energy, but how to transmute it. How to take that raw sexual fire, which used to control you, and channel it upward, transforming it into charisma, creativity, and the power of manifestation. This is not a seduction trick. This is the master key to masculine sovereignty. The choice is yours. Remain a ghost, begging for attention, or become the silent center of gravity that attracts everything it desires, simply by being. If you are ready to stop leaking and start building, pay close attention. Your old life can end today. If this message resonated with a truth you feel, but couldn't yet name, then you are in the right place. This journey of sovereignty is not easy, and it is not meant to be walked alone. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because what we are about to reveal next are not theories. They are the instruction manuals for this transformation. You've made the decision. You've stopped the leak. But now, you face a new challenge, perhaps the most difficult one of all. What do you do with this energy? Because sexual energy is fire. When you stop releasing it, it doesn't just disappear. It builds. It starts to create pressure. You will feel it. A restlessness in your legs, a heat at the base of your spine, a mind that becomes obsessive. Desire, which was once a casual impulse, now feels like a caged, wild animal. It is at this point that 99% of men fail. They confuse containment with repression. Repression is like trying to hold a pressure cooker shut by plugging the valve with your finger. Eventually, it will explode. And that explosion will be chaotic, a compulsive relapse, an unexplainable fit of rage, anxiety, or even physical problems. You cannot simply stop the energy. That would be like trying to stop a river with an earthen dam. You must direct the river. This is where we enter the true secret. Internal alchemy, the sublimation of sexual energy. Sublimation is not destroying, it is refining. It is taking a raw, dense energy and transforming it into a subtle, powerful one. It is the process of turning lead into gold. The ancient traditions, from the yogis of India to the Taoist alchemists of China, understood this mechanism perfectly. For them, seminal energy known as Zhengying in Chinese, or Bindu in Sanskrit, is your most precious raw material. It is your biological rocket fuel. When you waste it, you are burning that fuel just to light a match. When you retain and sublimate it, you are using that same fuel to launch a rocket to the moon. So, how does this alchemy work? The energy, when not released downward and outward, is forced to find another path. And a path exists, an invisible channel that runs along your spinal column, connecting your lower centers of desire to your higher centers of consciousness. The first stage of sublimation is transforming the physical, sexual essence into key vital life force energy. Think of DJing as crude oil and key as refined gasoline. This process happens when you consciously move that energy through breath, focused intention, and physical exercise. Instead of letting the energy stagnate in the sexual organs, creating pressure and lust, you pull it upward, circulating it through your body. This key energy begins to nourish your internal organs. You feel a vitality you haven't felt since childhood. Your sleep becomes deeper. Your digestion improves. Your body feels like it's vibrating at a higher frequency. You are no longer operating on 10% battery. You are operating at a full charge. But the alchemy doesn't stop there. That is only the first stage. The second stage is transforming Qi into Shen. Shen is your spiritual energy, your consciousness, the glow in your eyes. If DJing is crude oil and Qi is gasoline, Shen is the light that the electricity generates. When this refined vital energy rises up your spine and reaches your brain, it literally illuminates your mind. This is where the ghost man dies and the magnetic man is born. The brain fog that plagued you dissipated. Social anxiety replaced by an unshakable calm. Your mind, which was once a drunken monkey jumping from branch to branch, desire, distraction, fear, becomes a deep, serene lake. True power is born from this clarity. This is where you attract success. Opportunities that were invisible to you become obvious. The solution to that complex problem at work simply appears in your mind. Procrastination vanishes, not because you force it, but because you now have a surplus of mental and physical energy begging to be used for something constructive. You become a magnet for creative ideas, and it is Shen that attracts people. Shen is what we call presence. It's the glow in the eyes. It's the aura of self-confidence that needs no validation. People aren't attracted to your muscles or your bank account. They are attracted to your light, your spiritual energy. They sense that you are full, that you need nothing from them. And this, in a world of needy and empty people, is the most magnetic force that exists. This process of moving the energy upward is the silent battle the last video mentioned. It will require discipline. It will require you to use tools like meditation, physical exercise, and most importantly, a purpose. The energy needs a direction. If you do not give it a higher purpose to build your business, to master a skill, to seek spiritual truth, it will return to its downward path and press for the easy release. Purpose becomes the great channel, the riverbed where this force can flow and build empires, instead of flooding and destroying your life. I understand that this process of internal alchemy is deep, and for many, a new and very personal experience. Some feel it as heat, others as mental clarity, others as a creative restlessness. That's why I want to tap into the collective wisdom of our community. For those of you already on this journey, how do you feel this built-up energy? What is the first sign your body or mind gives you that the energy is being refined and not just repressed? Share your experience, even if it's anonymously, in the comments below. There are no wrong answers. Your report might be the exact description another man is experiencing, but didn't know how to explain. Let's map this territory together. If the description of internal alchemy of turning Jing into Qi and Qi into Shen sounded like some peaceful Zen automatic process, I need to be brutally honest with you. It is not. The path to turning lead into gold invariably passes through the hottest fire. Sublimation is not a gift you receive. It is a prize you win, and to win it, you will have to fight and win the hardest war that exists. It's not a war against the world, the system, or external temptations. It is the inner battle, the gauntlet of self-control and discipline. It is here, on this silent battlefield, that your soul is forged. The moment you shut the valve, the moment you say no to the easy path, your old life does not surrender peacefully. And the enemy isn't external. The enemy is you. It's the set of habits, neural pathways, and cellular memories that you have spent years, perhaps decades, training for one single thing: release. That stored energy, the fire you've decided to contain, will begin to press, and it will test every inch of your resolve. The battle unfolds on three fronts. In the physical front, you will feel the pressure, what some call blue balls, a real sensation of weight and discomfort. You will feel a restless energy in your legs, a need to move. Your body, accustomed to the cycle of depletion, will sound the alarm, screaming, "Something is wrong." Release the pressure. It is a test of endurance. The mental front. This is the most treacherous front. Your mind, which was once your accomplice in the addiction, will become a brilliant and ruthless lawyer, arguing for a relapse. It will bombard you with rationalizations. It's natural. Everyone does it. Just one more time, it won't set you back. You're building up stress. You need to relax. This isn't healthy. You're going to explode. It will scan your memory banks and bring up your favorite fantasies. At your most vulnerable moments, when you are tired, stressed, bored, or alone, in the emotional front, sexual energy, in its raw state, is chaotic. When it's stored but not yet refined, it can amplify your emotions. You might feel irritable for no reason, aggressive, impatient, or, on the contrary, you might feel waves of sadness and melancholy as old emotional wounds surface. This is the alchemical fire, beginning to burn away the impurities of your psyche. It is at this point that most men fail. They mistake this pressure and chaos for a sign that retention is bad for them, and they run right back to the easy relief, never realizing they were one step away from transmuting that energy to win this war. You need two weapons, self-control and discipline. They sound like the same thing, but they are fundamentally different. Self-control is your defensive weapon. It is the shield. It is the brute force of your will in the moment of crisis. It is the note you scream internally when the urge attacks you in the trenches. It's what stops you from opening the incognito tab at 2 a.m. Self-control is reactive. It's your front line, but you cannot win a war just by defending. Discipline is your offensive weapon. It is the strategy. It is the offensive system you build so the battle doesn't even have to be fought. Discipline is the ritual. It is discipline that gets you out of bed and into a cold shower, using the thermal shock to calm the fire and train your nervous system to obey your command, not your comfort. It is discipline that gets you to the gym for intense exercise. You no longer work out just for aesthetics. You work out to move the energy. You use the bench press, the squat rack, the pavement as tools of alchemy, taking that raw, restless sexual energy and transforming it into vitality and physical strength. You tire the body to clear the mind. It is discipline that sits you down on the meditation cushion. This is where you train to win the mental front. You learn to observe the thoughts and urges without identifying with them. You see the voice of the addiction arise, and you let it pass, like a cloud in the sky. You stop being the slave who reacts and become the master who observes. And above all, discipline is what keeps you focused on your purpose. This is your ultimate weapon. When the temptation comes, you don't just resist, you redirect. You take that overwhelming energy, and instead of wasting it, you channel it into your work, your project, your studies. You transform the desire for pleasure into the desire to create. This battle is not won once and for all. It is a daily conquest. There will be days you feel like a king, and days you feel like trash. There will be relapses, and this is where the warrior separates from the amateur. The amateur sees a relapse as a total failure and gives up. The warrior sees it as intelligence, as data. He asks, what led me to fall? Stress, loneliness, boredom, and he adjusts his discipline, strengthens his defenses. The discomfort you feel is not a sign that you are sick. It is the sign that you are alive. It is proof that you have fire to burn. The man who feels no desire is a man who is switched off. The challenge is not to kill desire, it is to tame it. It is to become the master of the fire that can either burn down your house or forge your empire. If the description of this inner battle resonated with your own experience, if you recognize the difficulty and the value of this silent fight, show your support and signal that you are part of this army. One click on the like button is enough to let us know we are in this journey together. After you win the battles on your internal training ground, you inevitably have to take this new you into the world, and the most revealing test of all will be on the most heavily mined field in human life, love. When you're fighting the inner battle, isolated in your discipline, the enemy is clear and the objective is simple. Don't fall. Don't give in. Transmute. But what happens when this warrior, forged in the fire of self-control, decides to enter a relationship? What happens when the man who learned to master himself encounters another? This is where your old life unravels completely. the way you loved, the reason you sought connection, and what you offered in a relationship are fundamentally rewritten. This is the beginning of the transformation of love and relationships. To understand what changes, we must first face, with brutal honesty, what love was for the empty man, the man living on a constant leak. For the man drained by compulsive release, a relationship isn't a choice, it's a necessity. He is a walking void, an energetic vacuum. He seeks a woman not to share his life, but for her to fill the emptiness he himself creates. His desire for her isn't an expression of strength, but a symptom of weakness. He needs her for validation, for a physical release. To feel like a man, his I love you is often just a translation of I need you, and the woman, on a primal subconscious level, feels this. She feels his neediness. She feels the hook in every compliment, the desperation behind every touch. She senses that his desire for her is the same desperate hunger he has for a computer screen. It's just a hunger for relief, and for the feminine energy, which instinctively seeks a stable, secure presence. This neediness is repulsive. He is a beggar asking for scraps of affection, and no king is built on begging. Now, contrast this with the man who won the inner battle. He is no longer a void, he is a fountain. The process of internal alchemy, of retaining and sublimating his energy, has made him full. He doesn't need a woman for validation, because he validates himself through his discipline. He doesn't need a woman for relief, because he has learned to transmute that energy into purpose. He doesn't need a woman to feel alive, because his own life force is now running in abundance. And it's this fullness that changes the game irreversibly. When this man enters a relationship, he does so, not from need, but from choice. His desire for a woman is no longer a junkie's compulsion, but the conscious choice of a king who decides to share his kingdom. He doesn't love because he needs, he loves because he overflows. The woman feels this difference at a cellular level. What she feels from him is no longer the chaotic, clingy energy of neediness, but the calm, solid, and radiant energy of self-sufficiency. He becomes security itself. Primal female attraction doesn't respond to money or muscles as much as it responds to security. The man who is a slave to his impulses is, by definition, insecure. He is chaotic, unpredictable, easily manipulated by temptation. The man who is a master of himself, who has proven in the silent battle that he can govern his own instincts, becomes the definition of a rock. She feels that he won't be shaken by the first hardship, that he won't trade her for the first easy temptation, because he has already conquered greater temptations alone. In the dark, he offers pure presence. The drained man can't be present. His mind is always clouded with brain fog, looking for the next dopamine hit. When he's with a woman, he's not really there. The man who has retained his energy and turned it into Shen's spiritual clarity offers the rarest gift, his total presence. His gaze is penetrating and focused. His listening is active. When he is with her, she is the only point in the universe. He isn't trying to get something from her. He is simply being with her. This is deeply magnetic. Sex ceases to be consumption and becomes communion. For the empty man, sex is an act of consumption. It's a frenzied release, focused on his own relief. For the full man, sex becomes an option, not an obligation. He can choose to share his energy. The sexual act can transform from a 10-second discharge into a communion of hours. He can use his contained energy to be a present lover, focused on her, capable of exploring levels of intimacy the rushed, needy man will never know. The final result is that you become incredibly selective. You prefer your own company, your own peace, the energy of your purpose, over being with someone who drains your strength or vibrates at a frequency of chaos and neediness. You stop hunting and you start attracting. And what you attract are no longer broken people looking to be fixed, but whole people who resonate with your new strength, your Refusal to waste your energy becomes your greatest filter. You no longer need seduction games. Your very presence becomes the question, and the answer you attract reveals the level of the person in front of you. When you become a fountain of energy, and no longer a vacuum of need, you realize something profound. This energy is vast. It is too big to be contained only in a relationship, no matter how deep. The same force that allows you to love with sovereignty and presence is the force that impels you to build. It is here that the alchemy reaches its final goal. Your sexual energy was not given to you just to attract. It was given to you to create. This is the highest purpose of your life force. Sexual energy as the raw material for creation and purpose. At its most basic, densest level, this energy creates life. It generates a child. That is its physical expression, its biological default, but that is only one octave of its creative capacity. What the masters and geniuses of history understood is that when this energy is not used for physical procreation, it does not need to be wasted. It can, and must, be channeled into mental and spiritual procreation. That same fire which can create a child, when moved to the higher centers, can generate a business, a work of art, a symphony, a scientific solution, or an empire. Think of Nikola Tesla, a man who changed the world with his mind. He was famously celibate. He wasn't repressing his energy. He was investing every single drop of it into his vision, into his inventions. He used the fuel that most men waste for pleasure to light up the planet. Think of Napoleon Hill, who in his book Think and Grow Rich dedicated an entire chapter to the transmutation of sex, stating that the most successful men he studied were, without exception, men who had learned to master and redirect this overwhelming energy into their ventures. This is what happens to you. When the alchemical fire rises and illuminates your mind, the Shen, you don't just gain clarity. You gain a relentless creative impulse. Procrastination dies. Why? Because procrastination is, in essence, a lack of energy. You now have a surplus. You need to do something, or you will feel like you're going to explode. Your purpose, which was once a vague, anxious question, what am I supposed to do with my life, begins to become a clear, resounding answer. The stored energy demands a channel, and your mind, now clear, is able to find and build that channel. Your discipline in retention becomes your discipline in your work. The strength you use to say no to an impulse is the same strength you use to make a difficult call. To write one more page of your book, to train at the gym when you're tired. You stop being a consumer of entertainment and become a creator of value. But here, you must understand the larger context. Why does this wisdom, so obvious to the ancients, sound so radical, so strange to us today? Because your power is a threat, and that is why semen retention is an act of spiritual rebellion. We live in a society, a matrix if you will, that does not profit from your sovereignty. It profits from your weakness. A full man, self-sufficient, focused on his purpose.com, and a master of himself, is the worst consumer in the world. He doesn't need the cheap validation of social media. He doesn't need junk food for a pleasure spike. He doesn't need alcohol to get the courage to socialize. He doesn't need impulsive shopping to ease his anxiety. And, most importantly, he does not need pornography. The system needs empty men. Drained, anxious, needy, and distracted men. Men who are always seeking the next hit of relief from the outside. A man who is a slave to his impulses is a man who is perfectly predictable and, therefore, perfectly controllable. And what is the most effective mass-draining weapon ever invented? Free, ubiquitous pornography. It is not just entertainment. It is a pacification mechanism. It is a spiritual tranquilizer. It is the tool designed to keep you addicted to the cycle of desire, release, shame, and apathy. It gives you a synthetic pleasure, and, in return, it steals your creative energy, your real-world presence, and your connection to the divine dot. Therefore, when you, in the silence of your room, In a moment of temptation, choose not to click. Choose not to give in. Choose to contain and transmute your energy. You are not just making a health choice. You are committing an act of insubordination. You are declaring a silent war on the system that wants you docile. You are unplugging from the matrix. You are saying, my energy is mine, my mind is mine, my power is mine, and I do not give permission for it to be stolen. This is why, when you begin this path, the world seems to test you harder. The temptations seem to multiply. That isn't the universe punishing you. It's the matrix sensing it's losing a battery and sending its agents to pull you back. Every day you stand firm is not just a personal victory. It is an act of rebellion that sends shockwaves into the unseen. You are not just saving yourself. You are becoming a lighthouse, living proof that freedom is possible. When the act of rebellion, which was once a conscious effort, becomes your new nature. When the discipline you forced transforms into an instinct you live, the silent war gives way to a peace. But it is not the peace of apathy or submission. It is the conquered peace. The peace of the soldier who has conquered himself and now rests at his post, vigilant and strong. The rebel who fought the system dies, and in his place, the king is born. This is the final destination of this journey. The true prize behind the attraction, the success, and the power. It is the awakening of the sovereign man, the conquest of self-mastery. What is a sovereign man? Not a man who rules over others. He is a man who has achieved absolute dominion over the only kingdom that truly matters. His own inner kingdom. The slave man, as we've seen, is a leaf in the wind. He is a reaction. An algorithm pulls him right. He goes. An impulse pulls him left. He goes. A woman's opinion defines him. A stranger's criticism destroys him. He does not own himself. He is a puppet whose strings are pulled by his desires, his fears, and the culture around him. The sovereign man is the opposite. He is cause. He is no longer effect. He is the rock in the middle of the river. The water of chaos, of opinions, of temptations, may flow around him, but he does not move unless he decides to move. Sovereignty is the reclaiming of your will. It is the moment you look at the desire that arises in your mind, be it for food, for sex, for validation, for distraction, and you can, with total calm, look at it and say, I see you, but you do not command me. I decide. This is true freedom, not the childish freedom of doing whatever I want, which is just slavery to the nearest impulse, but the mature freedom of not being forced to do what I don't want, the freedom to align your actions with your deepest values, not your lowest appetites. Think of the path we traced in this video to get here. It all began with the pain of invisibility. The ghost man begging for scraps of attention in a world that only respects fullness. Then, we discovered the secret of internal alchemy, the map to stop the leak, to take the raw fire of sexual energy and, instead of letting it burn the house down, channel it upward, turning lead into gold, instinct into clarity. We faced the reality of the inner battle, the dragon, the daily fight against the habits of a lifetime, where we forged self-control as a shield and discipline as a sword, using the cold shower, the gym, and meditation as our weapons. We saw how this inner strength, this fullness, radically redefines love. The beggar dies, and the king who loves from his overflow is born. Attraction ceases to be a hunt and becomes a natural consequence of your energy. And finally, we understood the highest purpose of it all. We saw that this energy is the raw material of creation, the fuel to build your empire, your legacy, and that the simple act of preserving this fuel is the greatest act of spiritual rebellion against a system that wants you weak, docile, and drained. Each of these stages was a step on the stairway to the throne. And now, you are at the top. What do you see? You see the world, the matrix, with the same eyes, but nothing affects you in the same way. The screens still glow, the temptations still exist, the culture of easy pleasure still screams. But for you, all of it has become just ... noise. Background noise. What was once an irresistible trigger is now just a piece of information that you observe and discard. You no longer fight desire with desperation. You observe it with a master's calm, and you choose whether to transmute it into work or to share it consciously in an act of love. But the choice, for the first time in your life, is truly yours. You become the owner of your attention. You become the owner of your energy. You become the owner of your soul. This is the sovereign man. He doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. He doesn't need external validation. His presence is his authority. His silence is his power. He is no longer trying to attract success, people, and opportunities. He has become the center of gravity to which success, the right people, and the right opportunities are naturally drawn. This journey does not end here. Sovereignty is not a destination you reach where you can rest forever. It is a throne you must choose to occupy every single day. The king must rule his kingdom daily. Discipline is not an event. It's a process. But now, you fight from a position of strength, not weakness. You are no longer climbing the mountain. You are guarding the summit. Thank you for dedicating your most precious asset, your attention, to this message. Thank you for watching until the end. The sovereign's journey begins with a single declaration of independence. I want to invite you to seal that decision right now. Use the comments field below and write, "I choose self-mastery." Make this your personal decree, your day one. But know this, while the battle is yours, you do not have to fight it alone. There is a legion of men just like you, awakening to this truth. Subscribe to the Neuro Alchemy channel and turn on notifications to join our community. Here, we don't offer shortcuts. We offer the map to your sovereignty. Your reconstruction is just beginning. I'll see you in the next video.